Okay, my name is Marcel Sebastian de Lange, and I'm an assistant clinical professor in the program of environmental design. I think one of the challenges you're facing in the world of architects right now, architecture, is that architects are traditionally it's traditionally more of a service-based um, profession, and the world is changing rapidly around it. Services can be obtained much easier, much quicker, and architects have to reinvent and redesign their profession in order to be competitive. And one of the things that I think that architects should do is become much more entrepreneurial and much more innovative and take on not only the design parts of the project, but also, for instance, building or even considering architecture to become some kind of a product. Architecture, in a traditional sense, is still very relevant if you work for high-end clients that really want to spend money on architect. But most people don't really need an architect. So I think that in order to change, or one of the things that I think is going on in the profession is really that architecture is reinventing itself, and the more successful architects are the ones that actually are building or are also involved in many other things like innovation and product design and those kind of things. SHWERE or SHWERE?
Sphere or SHWERE?
Okay, well, I guess I think the official will be SHWERE. It's just very hard for me to pronounce since English is not my first language. Although I'm trying to be good at it, sometimes the accent prevents me from doing that. Everybody has a favorite color, or at least maybe one or two. And I happen to be a big fan of orange. I moved from a country where the national banner color, so their Dutch flag is red, white, and blue, and we have a banner which is orange. Our soccer team is orange, and many things in the Netherlands are orange. Our king that we used to have back in the 1700s or so is from the House of Orange, or his name was William of Orange, and so the royal family still is called, the last name is Orange. And then I moved here to Boulder in Denver. I was very pleasantly surprised that orange is also a very good color here. So in some ways, it was a subliminal kind of experience to go from an orange place to another orange place, and I think it's just very fun to rub it in that orange is not only for Broncos, it's also for the Netherlands. Yeah, the word Yankee, there's a couple of explanations. One of them that I like the most, it's a combination of the Dutch word Jan and Kees. And in the past, when the Dutch settled in Manhattan, or New Amsterdam, how we like to refer to it. And those days, since Holland had a really high tolerance for, or a really high level of freedom for religion and all kinds of other things, we were considered in the new colony of the United States to be kind of, everything was possible, and we were frowned upon, and people say, well, there goes another Jan, there goes another Kees, there goes a bunch of Yankees, which slowly over time turned into the word Yankee. So effectively, we're all kind of Dutch in this country. So the favorite part of a house is not necessarily a single space in the room, although I do love kitchens a lot, and circulation. I think that what I like a lot about designing houses is the early phases, is when you come up with ideas around how to fit, the house on the site, or how to come up with all kinds of variations and schemes just to discover what is the best possible kind of way to put everything together, and try to make things as small and yet as large as possible. So not a lot of excess space, but clever designs of rooms and spaces. And then what I really like in the process is drawing it all up and coordinating it with engineering and understanding structural and how structural kind of fits in the house and making the computer models for it. And then I really like going on the job site and actually seeing it all come to life and troubleshooting things, because things on a drawing are always perfect, but in real world they're actually not as perfect as you may think. The computer, will give you some kind of, definite size or definite dimension. The real world, there's all kinds of tolerances and constraints that prevent it from happening, and that is what I like a lot. And then in the end, I really like, the cladding on the house, this building skin, and other parts. The interior design, the actual, the look and feel of spaces or staging them. That is something that my partner typically does. But those are the things that I like about designing houses. Good question. So if you ever make it to the Netherlands, first of all, I have a really long list of data that I collected over the last 10 years or so that was given to me or I discovered myself that I'm happy to share with anyone. Some of it is outdated, some of it is probably still relevant. If you make it to Amsterdam, that's where you typically end up if you fly in. You should definitely spend a day or two in Amsterdam. What is really great about Amsterdam, it has a series of canals, and it's kind of the Venice of the north, if you will. And nowadays you can actually rent an electrical boat that gives you, and it's like whatever, $50 for an hour or so, and you can be up there with 10 people or so, and then you can buy some lunch, and it's very, very, very student friendly because you don't have to break the bank. So you buy some lunch in the supermarket, some beers, and you go up in the boat, and then for an hour or 2 hours you can just go see the whole city on the water, which is great because it's a completely different experience. I mean, walking it is great, The other thing that I definitely recommend if you go there is to visit the museums in Amsterdam. There's a couple of really good museums that you should have seen, because if you like Rembrandt or contemporary art, there's all kinds of opportunities for that. And if you want to know more, just come talk to me. I would love to talk to you about your things that you want to discover in the Netherlands.